Hi all, Once and Future Gamer here, and thanks for joining me for another Pokemon challenge. Last time was a fun Gen 3 run, as I went through Fire Red with a team of Swablu and Spearow. Today though, we go solo, as I head to Gen 2 and see if I can beat Pokemon Crystal with a single Chinchou. Chinchou then is a first stage Pokemon with a 330 base stat total, so slightly better than a first form starter. Our special stats, speed and HP, are all decent, but our physical stats, attack and defence, aren't particularly fantastic. We are water and electric types, so we are weak to ground and grass, but we do have 5 resistances to flying, steel, fire, water and ice. If this was Gen 3 or later, we could have one of 2 immunities, but abilities aren't a thing here, so it is irrelevant. Our moveset is mixed. We don't learn anything fantastic by level up. About probably the most useful thing on our natural learn set is Spark, given that Thunderbolt isn't until post game, I believe. Water Gun will do until we get Surf though. And on that note, Surf is about the best thing we get via TM and HM, apart from maybe Hidden Power depending on what type we get. Zap Cannon and Thunder are unreliable. Ice Beam is also a post-game tutor move, so that's not helpful. This is one I've wanted to do for a while, I believe. If you do have any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. The rules are on the screen throughout. Thanks for watching, folks, and if you do enjoy what you see, then like, subscribe and ring that bell. Let's get this on. I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Totodile with Chinchou, so that I can do the whole run with it. I chose to replace Totodile because then the rival will steal Chikorita, and that's the hardest for us to fight by a long way. I nicknamed the Chinchou Lure, and then start off on my journey. Looking at our type combination, you'd think we have an easy opening to the game, but it is worth remembering for the Flying Gym, we probably won't have any electric moves that do damage. Spark isn't until level 25, and I'm sure we won't need to be that level to beat Faulkner, and his Pidgeotto has a ground move, don't forget, so it could be interesting. We may need Spark to beat the Cypher in the Bug Gym, but that's a long way down the road yet. I think the rival will be the biggest obstacle until we get to Whitney, but we'll see. On the subject of that rival fight, I'm not looking forward to it because the only attacking move we have is resisted, but we'll have to see what we can do. At least he won't have a grass attack at this point. We paralyse with Thunder Wave and confuse with Supersonic, since I think confusion is our best chance of damage. It does waste time with Growl, and we're not using our physical attack stat anyway, so it can do that all day. Our bubbles do better damage than I probably expected, and well, that's not saying much. It hits itself a bunch of times in confusion, and so we soon do bring it down. I am training quite heavily on the way to Violet City, as I recall that there is Bellsprout Tower to do while I'm there as well, and being smacked about with super effective Vine Whips isn't something that fills me with a whole bunch of joy. Plus, like I said, I need to be able to hit hard enough to overcome Faulkner and his team. On that subject of Faulkner then, we soon make our way in to challenge him, and it goes pretty bad straight from the start, as I forgot that Pidgey also has Mod Slap, not just Pidgeotto, and although it doesn't do a lot of damage, the accuracy loss is going to be killer, I'm sure. We do at least 2-hit Pidgey with Bubble. Pidgeotto crits and Mud Slap, and we do manage to paralyse it at the second attempt with Thunder Wave. Although we do miss some attacks over the course of the fight, we do crit a bubble that we land on it, and that is particularly handy since Faulkner has no healing items. It's not too long before we do land the flail that takes Pidgeotto down, but I am glad that fight didn't go on much longer. There is travelling next as I move towards the Bug Gym and the rival fight, both of which I am expecting to be on the higher side of tricky given what we have right now. But we did at least learn Water Gun, which is a big upgrade on Bubble, and that might be enough to give us an advantage over the next few battles. It's only a few towns away until I can get Surf, which will be a massive improvement. On the subject of the bug gym, I head in to tackle Bugsy, and I think I'm as ready as I'll ever be. He begins with his Metapod, and although we can two-shot that thing with a water gun, we do get hit with a string shot, which isn't ideal as we're probably going to be slower than Cypher now. Kakuna comes in, we land a crit water gun to take it down in one shot, which is good because there's always that poison risk. We paralyse Cypher with Thunder Wave, and I am worried about Fury Cutter, anything to slow it down. It starts going for quick attacks once we do that, which is good because A, it's not stab, and B, it's not getting stronger every time. We crit a water gun, and although Cypher does hurt us, dropping us below the half health mark, we soon take it out with 2 more water guns for the second badge. Rival fight then as we leave town, or we try to. This is not going to be pleasant since he has that bay leaf now, and it will probably be one of the worst things to fight in the entire game at this point. He begins with Ghastly, and we strike a water gun, which it survives and goes for Lick. Thankfully, no paralysis, and we take it down with a second water gun. We paralyse Bayleaf with Thunder Wave straight away, and then there's immediate retaliation, with us being hit with Poison Powder immediately after, before we then go for Supersonic. What happens next is quite frankly amazing, as Bayleaf crits a Razor Leaf to put us on about a quarter, then gets paralysed 2 turns in a row as poison damage drops us to 1 HP, but we land 2 flails to take it down. We smash Zubat with Flail to take it down in 1 hit. If that hadn't been a 1 hit, we'd have lost. If that had been of later generation, we'd have lost. Anyway, going through the forest, I'm getting involved in a lot of fights because I want Spark to face Whitney. I figure it's about the most reliable move we will get via level up, and I'll be using it for the rest of the game, probably. After Whitney, there'll be another rival fight. Spark or Surf won't entirely help us there, and also the Ghost Gym, which again, special moves might not be the most useful there necessarily. Now then, the fight with Whitney. Let us go and throw down with her. I am expecting it to be amazingly rough. She begins with Clefairy, and a single Spark isn't enough to bring that down. She goes for Metrodome and does a little damage with Frustration, but we floor it with another Spark. And then the Satanic Cow appears. We go for Thunder Wave to paralyse her, and she immediately misses Rollout. We do good damage with Spark. I am anticipating a free hit as we get clattered with Stomp. A second Spark hits Miltank, then she gets fully paralysed and we take her out with a third Spark. My prediction was accurate. I figure while we're walking to Ecruteak, here's the chance to throw out some Chinchou facts. The 2 tips of its antenna can shoot positive and negative electricity. They live on the dark ocean floor, but the anime episode taking it on the Chinchou showed that they can walk on the land. However, it can only be caught in water and it lacks a footprint. It uses flashing lights to communicate. Chinchou and Lantern are the only electric type Pokemon in the Water 2 egg group. Its evolution line is the only water electric type Pokemon that begins that way. The only other Pokemon to share that type combination is the wash form of Rotom. Not much in the way of fun facts about this Pokemon, I will say. I mean, a lot of the Pokedex entries are quite similar as well, so yeah. Anyway, after getting Surf from the Kimono Girls, I head into the Burn Tower to face off with my rival. I still don't have a fantastic way of dealing with his starter, so here goes nothing. He begins with Haunter and we go for Surf, but it does survive on a Slither and takes itself out with Curse. This bodes well for the Ghost Gym. I go for Confuse Ray on Bayleaf. Now, this proves to be a good thing, as it hits itself twice in confusion as we keep striking it with Surfs. The only chance it does get to attack, it goes for Growl, which, as we're a special attacker, isn't going to be an issue. We soon bring it down. Magnemite goes down to Surf in the next round of the fight, and Zubat goes down to Spark. Again, if this was Gen 3 or later, we'd have lost that fight badly thanks to curse damage. Morty then. I might as well try this while I'm in town. I think we should be relatively fine as long as we can avoid curse or sleep. Either or both would be a death sentence for us. Ghastly goes down to Surf, and so, actually, in the next round does Haunter, we drop it with Surf. Gengar, we outspeed and go for Surf, doing decent damage. Gengar misses Hypnosis, we strike a second Surf and take it down for the count. Surf takes a second Haunter out and we can move towards Olivine. I've said this before, it's amazing how often this fight comes down to luck. That Gengar misses Hypnosis, you've got a great chance of winning. It hits Hypnosis, you're probably going down brutally. As I move from Olivine towards Cianwood, I'm pretty secure about the next bit of the game. We can probably do okay at the fighting gym. I mean, I'd be a bit worried about getting roughed up. Our physical defence isn't fantastic. But we do have a super effective move to deal with Poliwrath, so that'll help. Steel Gym shouldn't be a problem, and I don't think the Ice one will be either, since, again, we have super effective moves for his entire team. The Goldenrod Underground rival fight might not be fun, but that's not for a while yet. Anyway, I make a try on Chuck just to see how this goes, and well, like I said, I think we will be fine. We hit Primate with Surf, but it does survive and hit Karate Chop. But we can take it out on the next turn with a Spark attack that puts us into the fight with Poliwrath. I've had some tricky battles with the Fighting Tadpole in the past. Here, we do well over half its health with Spark and paralyse it. It gets fully paralysed and we then drop it with another Spark. This was not one of those tough fights. The boss rush continues as I storm in to face off with Jasmine, and I figure this one probably won't be problematic either. I know her team isn't the best against special attacks, so when she begins with the first Magnemite, we drown it with Surf for a knockout. We hit the second Magnemite with Surf for a single hit knockout, and Steelix at the end doesn't do any sort of better as we wipe it out with Surf for the 6th badge. I do go and get the Hidden Power TM before I go through the Rocket Hideout because I am very curious. It takes a lot of trial and error, but I eventually realise that it's a Water type Hidden Power, which is about as unhelpful as it gets since we already have a pretty good water move. And I will die on this hill. Surf, best water move in the game. That's my hill, that's my gravestone, that is me dying on it. As I go through the Rocket Hideout, let's talk about what's ongoing with the channel. A discussion was had about Master Showdown, but it's on hold for the moment. My partner in that venture has some personal stuff ongoing. He's about to become a dad again, so he's rightfully got his priorities in order. We will look at doing it. I've still got some stuff that I've not uploaded. I've still got some stuff from the last couple of rounds that hasn't even been made yet, so it's something that needs doing. There's been TCG stuff. I did start uploading Simpsons Hit and Run. I still need to finish that. At the moment it did feel like I rage quit it, but I may still go back to it. I did finish my playthrough of Maneater 2 and I really had a fun time doing that. I'm still editing through my Ultra Moon with Birds Run. I mean, there's not been a type theme playthrough this month because I've kind of been sidetracked with stuff. That Ultra Moon with Birds Run, I possibly might be splitting it into 2 halves because it's quite a long one. I mean, those Ultra games, I mean, I've never played Base Sun and Base Moon. You never realise actually how long they are compared to these games. I mean, when I did the Heart Gold run, that was an hour and 20 minutes for a video, which is quite long. Plus, what you've got to remember is when I record those, it's holding off the cuff. Here, I'm reading it from a script. Those playthrough runs, it's improvised completely. Next challenge. Oh, it's no water type run. So I'm going to be doing another solo run. It's going to be the first Platinum run since that horrible Cherubi run last year. It's going to be Pokemon Platinum with a single Mantike. Be sure to join me for that. And as always, if you have any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. Well, we're going to get back to the action now, folks. The Ice Gym is up next, and I think we are going to have an easy time of it here. Price is very rarely a challenge. He begins with Seal, and we just straight up one-shot it with Spark. He goes to Piloswine next, and we one-shot that with Surf, so it's already looking like a wash. Dugong does survive Spark and threatens to make the fight interesting in hitting a headbutt, but we take it out on the next turn for the 7th badge. My next major fight that I have to deal with is the Goldenrod City underground rival fight. I do battle through the radio tower first to get some more training in ahead of this. I figure I'm probably going to need return sooner or later, but I'll stick with the moveset I have for the time being and hope that it works out. I can't help but think this rival fight and the next one are going to be rough, and there's also a Claire fight in between that should be pretty unpleasant. Anyway, rival fight. He begins with Golbat and we down it with a Spark for a one-hit knockout. We confuse Meganium and it hurts itself in confusion before we start landing Surfs for okay damage. The Razor Leaf attack it does hurt us with isn't pleasant, but again it hits itself in confusion before we down it with a third Surf. Magnemite goes down to Surf before Haunter is fourth and a single Surf takes it down. Sneasel actually survives Surf and hits Feint attack, but we can finish that with Spark and move on. As I go through Ice Path, I did a YouTube search to see if this challenge had been done before. And well, I'm not going to go into a massive amount of detail, but yes it has. This may shock you. I found at least 3 instances of it without going too deep down the YouTube wormhole. I didn't find any gold or silver challenges, they did appear to all be in crystal, but I did find a soul silver with Chinchou run. I figured this one would have been done before. It's something I have wanted to use for a while. I did have it suggested to me that I revisit some of these runs in harder gens, so I might be tempted to see how Chinchou does in HGSS for myself. So, the Claire battle is just as horrible as I figured it might be. I've learned Return since I figure it might be our best chance of damaging her, since her dragons will resist both our stab attacks. Otherwise, Kingdra would take neutral damage from Spark, but I still don't want to rely on it as a sole tactic. Our first effort goes pretty badly, not going to lie. We can't one-shot the Dragonair with Return and we get paralysed and hit with repeated Dragon Breaths. We spend so much time versus the second Dragonair fully paralysed that it can soon whittle us down. And even though we do make it through the third Dragonair, Kingdra can come in and easily finish us off. I make several attempts, also training up and coming back every new level in hope of success, and eventually I get this run at level 58. In the first instance, the battle with Dragonair number 1, we crit a Return to bring it down in one hit. The second Dragonair connects with Thunder Wave and Dragon Breath, but 2 returns are enough to bring it down for the count. It's a repeat versus the third Dragonair pretty much. We get hit with 2 Dragon Breaths, but can 2-hit it with Return, and we are in good shape ahead of Kingdra, paralysis aside. Kingdra hits Dragon Breath and Hyper Beam, sandwiching paralysis for us, but we can then land 2 returns in succession to bring it down and give us the 8th badge. Whew! Big sigh of relief. I'm on the road to the Pokemon League now and looking ahead to what awaits. I know there is a rival fight before we get there, but of the Elite 4, I don't think Will should be too bad. Executor may be a bit annoying, but the rest of his team should not be a problem. These might be famous last words. I'm not too concerned about Koga, and probably not about Bruno either, if I'm honest. Sure, we'll need to be careful, but I can't see us getting walled by either of them. Karen might be a different story since she has that bulky Umbreon with Sand Attack and that stun-sporing Vileplume too. I can see Lance being tricky. Sure, we can probably do half his team with ease in Gyarados, Aerodactyl and Charizard, but I'm more concerned about the 3 Dragonite we'll have to overpower, especially given what has just happened in the Dragon Gym. Anyway, the rival fight. Shouldn't be too bad, hopefully. He begins with Sneasel and we send a Surf crashing into it. This downs it and we have a fight with Meganium, who hits Poison Powder on us, but that sandwiches 2 returns that bring it crashing down. Magneton is third and we smash it with a Surf to take it out. Haunter goes down to a single Surf and Kadabra goes down to return. Golbat is last and we hit a Spark to bring it to defeat, meaning we can enter the Indigo Plateau. Here are our stats at level 62 as we do wait for the battles versus the league to begin. Our speed is decent, our special stats are about even with each other, and our physical stats are both below the 100 mark. It's not that bad though, you know. I have worked with a lot worse. There's not really much more I can say. Take your guesses on if I can do it at this level or not. Right now, folks, let's do this. Psychic Trainer Will is up first, and I am ready to rock and roll, so let's get this party started. I lose a first attempt thanks to being put to sleep by Jinx and 5 hit with Psychic while not waking up, I kid you not. The rematch goes better though. I land a Spark on the first Xatu to bring it down for the count. Executor survives Return and goes for Reflect. It then survives Surf and hits Psychic, but we can take it out with Return. Jinx is third. She survives Surf and hits Psychic, but we take her out with a Spark. Xatu number 2 goes down to a Spark, and last is Slowbro, who we also take out with Spark for our first victory. Poison Trainer Koga is next, and I'm as ready as can be to take him on. He begins with Ariados, and we take it out with Surf. Fortress survives Surf and goes to Spikes, but Spark finishes it off. Venomoth survives Surf and misses Toxic, but we take it out with Return. It's going reasonably well so far. Muck is fourth, it survives Surf and it goes for Minimise, but we take it out with Spark. Crobat survives Spark and goes for Double Team before Koga heals. We land Spark to paralyse it, and Return finishes it off, and we can take the victory. It's time for the clash with Fighting Trainer Bruno now, and I think we should be fine here. Then we promptly lose our first attempt thanks to Machamp hitting a crit cross chop on us. We rematch him straight after though, and things go much better. Hitmontop is first and we hit Return before it goes for Dig to land decent damage on us, but we take it out with Spark. Hitmonlee is a one shot with Return. Hitmonchan lands 2 Mock Punches but goes down to Surf and Return. Onyx goes down to a single Surf, which expected. Machamp survives Surf, and where it ended us before, it only goes for Foresight this time, and we take it out with Spark. Weird way for the battle to end, but okay. Dark Trainer Karen is fourth, and I'm preparing myself for a rough fight. We go for Confuse Ray on Umbreon, but it still manages to land Sand Attack through it and shakes Confusion off quickly, as well as tanking Return. This is going fantastic so far. We miss another Confuse Ray and then get confused in Return before eventually taking it out with Surf. Vileplume is a 2-hit with Return but does big damage with Petal Dance. We miss Surf on Gengar and get hit with some licks. Thankfully there's no paralysis and we do eventually land Surf and Spark to take it out, but we've taken lots of hits. Houndoom goes down to Surf before Murkrow is last and we land the Spark to take it out. Champion fight then, and it very quickly turns out that we are outclassed. Gyarados is easy enough at the start, we can take it out with Spark, but being paralysed by Thunder Wave from the first Dragonite, as well as neither Spark nor Surf doing a massive amount of damage to it, means that it is a case of when we will go down rather than if, and eventually we do go down to a Hyper Beam from the second Dragonite. I realised very quickly this is not going to work without either more levels or an insane amount of luck, and I feel like I'm fresh out of luck. Let's go for the levels. I come back to the battle with Lance with Lure at level 75. I'm hoping this is going to be enough, but I appreciate we need some fortune for sure. Gyarados is out first, and it's a pretty simple opponent to deal with. We strike the Spark to bring it down, and that prompts a face-off with the first Dragonite. We land Return but get paralysed by Thunder Wave. Dragonite then misses Hyper Beam and we take it out with Spark. The second Dragonite lands Hyper Beam, but the damage isn't too bad. We do over half its health in damage with Spark. We are fully paralysed on the recharge turn, but then Dragonite misses another Hyper Beam and we then take it out with Spark. The third Dragonite goes to Safeguard and we land a Return for over half its health. Lance heals it, we do get hit with an Outrage, but we manage to 2-hit the Dragonite with Return. Aerodactyl lands Ancient Power and we end up fully paralysed before it misses Hyper Beam, and we connect with Surf to take that down. And last is Charizard. That hits Slash for minimal damage, and then we take it out with Surf for a victory over the champion, and with that we can step on into the Hall of Fame and be immortalised forever. But, of course, the champion battle isn't the end of it. There's 2 final boss fights in this game versus Blue and Red, and after having fought through the Kanto gym leaders, I throw down with Blue in the Viridian City gym at level 83. He begins with Pidgeot, who crits quick attack, but we drop it with Spark. Executor is second, and I struggle a bit with it thanks to Blue healing it and a combination of Sunny Day and that super effective Solar Beam. I keep banging it with returns, and depending on the damage roll, we either do over half or just under it. So obviously 2 low damage rolls doesn't bring Executor down, and that's a problem since Solar Beam hurts. He heals it twice before we can bring it down with repeated returns. Alakazam is a 1-hit with return, and Rhydon is a 1-hit with Surf. Arcanine hits extreme speed, but we drop it with Surf, and finally at the end we can take Gyarados down with a Spark, and that is the 16th badge. We're off to Mount Silver. The way I toiled versus Executor there gives me real concern for the battle with Red, since he has Venusaur who can be bulky, and of course it is the wrong day to be able to tutor on Ice Beam, which would make things simpler. It's Saturdays and Wednesdays that the tutor is there, and I was doing this on a Sunday. Bad planning on my part. The first few attempts on Red at level 84 go pretty badly, as we can get quite badly hurt by Espeon with Psychic. And also, it's fair to note that if Venusaur lands Solar Beam, we are done for. I make a few efforts using my Confuse Ray to try and stall the Venusaur. If Espeon uses Reflect, we've got little chance, since otherwise our best chance of damaging Venusaur is Surf. And it also has Sunny Day too, which shuts that strategy way down. There is one brutal run where I make it past Venusaur, and then have an absolutely gruelling battle with Snorlax that we ultimately lose, and I decide to bow out and train some more. I rock back up then at level 88, and just to see if this can be done at this level or not. And on this run, Pikachu is a 1-shot with return, and then we face Espeon, who survives Surf and puts Reflect up. So we are not hurt, but we're going to toil versus Venusaur now as we take Espeon out with another Surf. I use Confuse Ray on Venusaur, who goes for Sunny Day. Our Surf does little damage, and we have to survive a Solar Beam. We do paralyse Venusaur with Spark, it hits itself in confusion, and the Reflect fades, meaning we can hit some returns to take Venusaur down without being hurt again. I use Confuse Ray on Snorlax. It doesn't last long as it goes for Amnesia and Body Slam, so I have to confuse it again in between hitting returns. Snorlax hits itself twice in confusion, this time as 3 returns are enough to bring it down. Charizard is a 1-shot with Surf before Blastoise is last, and we land the Spark to paralyse it, as well as doing 2/3 of its health in damage. Blastoise gets fully paralysed, and we land another Spark to bring it down, and just like that, there you have it. We are done with the run. Red falls in defeat, Blue fell in defeat, the League fell in defeat. We are done. Well, that saved me a lot of grinding at the end, for sure. I'm glad it wasn't too problematic. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, call out with a comment, and smash that subscribe button. Help the channel grow. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge, as I see if I can beat Pokemon Platinum with a single man type. Now that is sure to be interesting. If you have any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below, or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. Anyway, there's not really much more to say, there's not much time left, so I'm going to jump off here. Thank you so very much for watching, folks. Take care, have a great day, and see you next time. So, with that, au revoir, bye-bye, so long, ta-ta.